Hi, my name is Jennifer, and I wanted to talk about the Jayco Jay Feather Micro travel trailer line. The Jay Feather Micro line started in 2021, which is when we got our trailer. We have a 2021 171BH, which is the bunkhouse model. Each year since then, we've made videos outlining the differences from the old trailer model to the new trailer model. Sadly, for 2026, we won't be able to do the same thing because they are discontinuing the Jay Feather Micro line. Now, there is another line that is similar and has similar models, and so we will discuss that, but there isn't a 2026 Jay Feather Micro 171BH to review. The last model year for the 171BH is the 2025. So while this does feel like a sad change, like I said, there is a new line that is kind of replacing this line. And so I want to talk about what that is and what our favorite models are from that line. And then we'll also share with you a couple of models from other manufacturers that we think would be a good fit if you're looking for a trailer similar to the 171BH. So the Jay Feather Micro line by Jayco has been replaced with the Jay Feather Air. And if you look at the new Jayco lines, there's actually a couple of Jay Feather Air lines. So there's the Air SL and then the Jay Feather Air. The Air SL appears to have a really similar floor plan to the 171BH. It looks very similar, except there is no sink in the bathroom. But the SL stands for super light. It is the very stripped down version. And so there's a lot of differences in the SL line than from our Jay Feather Micro. So there's no underbelly, there's smaller tank sizes. There's a lot that they cut from that trailer to keep the weight down and the cost down. So while I can see why those would be some benefits for people, I am not going to dig into the Air SL line very deep because I don't think it's really a good comparable match for the Jay Feather Micro. But the Jay Feather Air, that line seems very similar to how the Micros were built. And so I'm going to focus more on the Jay Feather Air travel trailers and not go into a lot of detail on the Air SL. But I did think it was worth mentioning that that new line does exist. So if you do want something similar to the Jay Feather Micro 171BH, but you want it to be lighter and not expensive, then that might be worth looking at. Now let's talk about the Jay Feather Air and how that line compares to the Jay Feather Micro. So first, let's talk about the length. These trailers are a little bit longer than the Jay Feather Micro trailers. Our 171BH is just over 20 feet at 20 feet and 3 inches. The Jay Feather Air floor plans are all right around 23 feet. There's one that's 22 feet 11 inches and then 23 feet and then 23 feet 1 inch. So they're all right around 23 feet. So they're a couple feet longer than the Jay Feather Micro. Now, with this extra length, they do seem to have more storage than the Jay Feather Micro models. They all seem to have a nice large pantry in them. And so, of course, that's going to add some length onto the trailer, but it does seem like a good addition. The next big change on the Jay Feather Air versus the Jay Feather Micro is they have larger tanks. So the tanks in the Jay Feather Micro, they were a great size. Ours has a 55-gallon freshwater tank and then 30.5 gallons for the black and 30.5 for gray. So 55 for fresh and then just over 30 gallons for the black and the gray. The Jay Feather Air travel trailers maintain the 55-gallon freshwater tank, so it has a nice large freshwater tank, but then they've increased the capacity for the black and gray tanks. So now instead of 30 gallons, it's 38 gallons each. So that is a really nice change. For us, the black tank is normally the first thing that gets filled up, and that's what creates our constraint for how long we can go dry camping. So to have a larger black tank is a really nice feature. And then another change with the Jay Feather Air versus the Micro models is the front beds have all been bumped up to a queen size. On the Jay Feather Micro, they were full XLs, so they were the length of a queen, but the width of a full-size bed. And so now the models all have the standard 60 by 80 full queen size bed. So that's another really nice change. And that's another change that makes sense as to why there's a little bit more length on these models. Now I want to talk about the specific Jay Feather Air models and start discussing which one seems like the closest model to the 171BH. So the Jay Feather Air has some really cool looking models. They all feel a little bit unique, a little bit different, and not really the standard models that I'm used to seeing, especially for the bunkhouse models. So there really are two models that feel similar to the 171BH. And it's interesting because it's kind of like they took the 171BH and split it in half into two different models. So there's one model that has the same front half as the 171BH, but then the back seems completely different. And then another model that has a completely different front to it, but then the back seems just like the 171BH. And they're both really interesting models, and so I do want to talk about both of them. The first one I want to talk about is the 16DB. So this is the Jay Feather Air 16DB. And this is the model that I would say is the very closest to the Jay Feather Micro 171BH. Though I will show you there are definitely some big differences with this model. So as I said earlier, the length is a lot longer. It's about 3 feet longer. Our Jay Feather Micro is just over 20 feet, and this model is 22 feet 11 inches, so almost 23 feet. The weights are about the same. The other specs are pretty similar. There's a little bit more cargo carrying capacity, and like I said, the tank sizes are a little bit larger for the black and gray tanks. The big difference is in the floor plan. So in the 16DB, the front half is very similar to the 171BH. So you have the full-time front bed up front, and like I said, that was a full XL in the micro lines. Now it's a queen size bed. So you have the bed up front, and then you have a similar kitchen area with the dinette, just like you have in the 171BH. Where it starts to get a little bit different is you have a large pantry in the 16DB, and then you have double bunks. So instead of the single bunks, you have the double bunks. And then because of that different bunk arrangement, the bathroom is different. The other difference with this model is it has a nice outdoor kitchen setup. It has the griddle, it has a little fridge, it has all of it in a compartment underneath that bunk. So I'd have to say that this is the model that is the closest to the 171BH. Now, the other model that resembles the 171BH is the 18MBH. So this is the Jay Feather Air 18MBH. And this model, the back half seems very similar to the 171BH. So you have the single bunks, and then the bathroom layout looks just like the bathroom that we have in the 171BH. And it's a great bathroom. There's a sink in there. There's lots of space. We do really like that layout, and it's worked out really well for us. That is where the similarities stop, and the whole front area is completely different, and it looks like a really cool design. I think this looks like a really exciting model, and this is one that I really think looks different than other models that I've seen. So instead of a dinette, now there's a bar area, and it's looking right at a nice big window on the campsite, and that is really nice. The kitchen is also positioned in a completely different layout, and it has a slide. So the 171BH has no slide, which is nice for maintenance reasons, but this other layout does have a slide to give a little bit more space in the kitchen. And the other difference is the bed up front is a Murphy bed. So during the day, you can have a couch, and that gives some nice extra seating, especially with having the bar instead of the dinette. It's nice to have that Murphy bed in addition to that. One of the downsides about this design is it didn't appear to have any kind of an outdoor kitchen. It did have a quick connect in the same spot that you would want to have an outdoor kitchen, so you can set up your own system, but it didn't have anything built into the trailer. And then the last Jay Feather Air model that I wanted to go over is the Jay Feather Air 19 MBS. And this is another bunkhouse model. And this model is almost identical to a bunkhouse that was in the Jay Feather Micro line, the 199 MBS. So the Jay Feather Micro 199 MBS was the model that had the double bunks, and this Jay Feather Air 19 MBS is very, very similar. One of the biggest differences is the 199 had a U-shaped dinette, and the 19 has just a standard dinette. But again, it's in a slide, and then it has the Murphy bed up front and then double bunks in the back. And then this one does have the outdoor kitchen setup as well, which was the case in the 199, and they've carried that through to the 19. So if you're really interested in getting a Jayco bunkhouse and you were interested in the Jay Feather Micro line and looking at the 171BH, then these Jay Feather Air models that we just went over, I think that those are going to be the closest bet and most likely be a good fit if the 171BH look to be a good fit. Now, if you're interested in looking in similar travel trailers outside of the Jayco family, if you're interested to see what other manufacturers have, these are the bunkhouses that I would check out. First is the Ibex 16 MKD. And this floor plan is pretty similar to the 171BH. And though it is a little bit longer, it is not as long as the Air models. So it's about 21 and a half feet. So like I said, our Jay Feather Micro was about 20 feet. This one's 21 and a half, so another foot and a half. But the Air models were all in the 23-foot range, so 3 feet longer. The other big difference with the Ibex compared to the Jay Feather Air models is it has smaller tank sizes. So each of the tanks are 30 gallons. So freshwater, black, gray, they're 30 gallons each. Whereas on the Jay Feather Air models, you have 55 gallons of fresh and then 38 for black and 38 for gray. So this one you'd be going down to 30 fresh, 30 black, and 30 gray. But it is a really nice floor plan and definitely worth checking out if you like the 171BH floor plan. It has a queen bed up front, has single bunks in the back. The bathroom has a nice layout with a bathroom sink in it, and there's an outdoor kitchen. And all of this is done on the trailer with no slide. So it's very similar to the 171BH and shares a lot of the same things that we liked with the 171BH. It also has an enclosed underbelly and is set up to go off-grid and boondock, and it would be a good trailer to take dry camping. The next model that I would look at is the Apex Nano 183BH. And honestly, this model looks so cool. This is one of the most unique trailer layouts that I have seen. Specifically, I love the outdoor kitchen setup. This seems like an amazing trailer to be able to experience the outdoors and have a great time with people, even if the weather is not ideal. Before we talk about the floor plan too much, I do want to take a step back and say that this is a very similar length to the Jay Feather Air models. So this trailer is 22 feet 11 inches, so just under 23 feet, just like the models that we talked about with the Jay Feather Air. And then it also has really similar tank sizes. So they're a little bit smaller than the Jay Feather Air models at 52 for fresh and 27 for black and gray, but they're still pretty large tanks. Now, where this model really shines is the floor plan. It has a sink in the bathroom, which we really love, and then it also has double bunks and a Murphy bed. And then in addition to that, it just has an incredible outdoor kitchen setup. So you have the griddle and fridge set up outside, but what we really like about the outdoor kitchen is it includes the inside of the trailer. So you can pop up the window near the bar. So it does have a bar instead of a dinette. I didn't mention that earlier, but you could pop up that window, People could be sitting inside at it and participating in the outdoor kitchen outside the trailer setup. You have more space that you can open up on the outside underneath that window, and you can make it a really nice social spot. So say you're camping in the rain, you could have the awning out in the rain, you can have a couple people inside the trailer, and you can have a couple people outside under the awning, still out there near the propane campfire, enjoying the outside, while people are inside staying dry as well. And then same for sunny weather. You could have that awning out, adding some shade to your area. You can have people inside, have the screen down. They can still talk to you while you're outside enjoying camp. The way that window is set up, so it lets you easily communicate with the inside of the trailer, and it's also positioned right in the center of the awning, so you're not going to have to deal with the rain hitting the sides. It's in a great position to be covered by the awning for weather. It just makes it a really fun, different trailer setup, and I haven't seen anything quite like it. It really feels unique. So while the Jay Feather Micro line is sadly a thing of the past, the 2026 models that I've seen really look exciting, and I think there's a lot of great options out there. Are you in the research stage? Are you looking for trailers? Are there a couple of models that you're considering? If you want me to go through and do a comparison, comparing two specific models like I've done in the past, just let me know. Normally, I compare the Jay Feather Micro line to one of these newer models, but since that's going away, feel free to let me know, hey, I'm looking at these two trailers, can you compare them? And we'll go ahead and make a detailed comparison video on those for you. If that sounds like something you want to take advantage of, just leave a comment, talk to us, let us know. I hope this helped give you a better idea of what small bunkhouse trailers might be a good option for you and your family. If it did, please subscribe. Thanks and happy camping.